Alexander stood at the door of the private room. Inside, a chorus of amazed voices sounded. Amanda, you're incredible. How did you make Alexander fall for you so deeply, never leaving your side? Yeah, the mighty Alexander from the wealthy circle, following you around like a shadow. What do you think his reaction would be if he knew you had twins with your first love? Amanda's voice was filled with smugness. So what if he knows? He'll still obediently listen to me and host the grandest wedding in the world. And not only that, give our Morris family $100 million in dowry, or I won't marry him. Chapter 1. Listening to Amanda's words, Alexander couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh inside. In his past life, he truly loved Amanda without any bottom line. After they got married, Amanda had ruthlessly trampled on his love and dignity. She poured all her energy into her little family, even transferring the assets of the Law family to her first love. By the time Alexander discovered all of this, it was too late. He would never forget lying on the bed, his life hanging by a thread, while Amanda stood at the bedside with her family of 4, mocking him without a care. Alexander, you've always just been a substitute I found. That's when he realized he was nothing but a pathetic stand-in. Now heaven had given him a second chance at life, and he swore he would never make the same mistakes again. A bitter smile on Alexander's face disappeared, replaced by a determined look. Today he had come to pick up Amanda for a wedding dress fitting. Then Amanda had said she wanted to be the most beautiful bride in the world. Alexander had spent over $10 million hiring top wedding dress designers from abroad, and even went as far as learning some craftwork himself, just to collaborate with the designers to create the world's most beautiful and unique wedding dress. Now the dress was complete, but she was no longer worthy of wearing it. While Amanda was still inside showing off, Alexander turned around and left decisively. Sitting in his car, his phone rang. Alexander, the wedding venue is almost set up. When will you and your fiancée come to have a look? Alexander snapped back to reality. If he remembered correctly, there were only 7 days left until his wedding with Amanda. In order to fulfill his promise to Amanda, he had booked all the city's large screens, TV stations, and even taxis to broadcast their moments of happiness. He had even edited all the video footage himself, frame by frame. Now the entire capital knew how much he loved Amanda, and he had kept his word, making Amanda the most enviable bride in the world. We're canceling the... Alexander said firmly on the other end. The voice immediately panicked. The wedding preparations alone had already cost Alexander over $10 million. Alexander, are you serious? Do you think I have time to joke with you? The person fell silent for a moment, then cautiously asked, do you need us to dismantle the wedding setup? No need. I'm only canceling the wedding with Amanda. Everything else stays the same. After hanging up, Alexander instructed someone to send a generous dowry to the Morris family. But this time the dowry was not for Amanda, it was for her half, sister Emily. Chapter 2. After driving away, his phone rang again. It was Amanda calling. He hesitated for a moment, but still decided to answer. Alexander, the gathering with my best friends just ended. Now I'm giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Come pick me up, she said. In the background, he could hear the gasps of her friends. Alexander didn't have to guess. He knew Amanda's friends were fawning over her. Sorry, I'm not free right now, Alexander replied flatly. Amanda's playful laughter quickly followed. Alexander, you're still such a child, always trying to surprise me. Don't think I don't know you've already sent the dowry to my house. But that $1 billion gift, you need to transfer it to my personal account. I'll send you my bank details later. Oh, and it must be in by tomorrow. If not, I won't be happy. If I'm not happy, there won't be a beautiful bride at your wedding. In the background, Amanda's friends could be heard chiming in. Wow, I really admire you, Amanda. You really know how to manage a man. When will we be able to do the same? Don't worry, there won't be a bride like you at my wedding, Alexander said coldly. Alexander, if I'm not your bride, who else could it be? Stop with the little tricks. I know what you're thinking. Come on, is this your idea of a surprise? Since you didn't come pick me up tonight. Alexander couldn't help but roll his eyes before hanging up the phone. Back inside the house, Alexander looked at the newly decorated wedding room. He had arranged everything himself, but now it seemed a bit too much. He started tearing down some of the decorations. When it came time to prepare the wedding for Emily, he would make sure to start fresh. As he was in the middle of tearing things down, thunder rumbled, and soon heavy rain began to pour outside. Suddenly, the door opened. There were hurried footsteps, and Amanda's voice rang out. Alexander, what do you mean by this? It's pouring rain outside. Didn't you notice? Not only did you not come pick me up, but you didn't even call to check on me. If you keep acting like this, I might reconsider whether we should even have our wedding. Then, there was the sound of something being thrown around. You hung up on me without my permission, and now I'm almost being ridiculed by my friends. Can you stop being so childish? Seeing that Alexander didn't respond, Amanda marched into the room. She pushed open the door and was shocked to see the wedding decorations being torn down. Her expression quickly changed. What's going on? Why did you tear everything down? It's nothing. I just don't like the decorations anymore, Alexander said indifferently. Well, at least you know better. I've always thought the decorations were tacky. You should hire a top wedding designer to redo it. Otherwise, when my friends see this, I'll be embarrassed. A faint smile spread across her face. I'll forgive you for tonight since you're trying so hard. Chapter 3. Amanda wore a satisfied smile. She looked at Alexander with a condescending gaze. Just as Alexander was about to speak, her phone rang suddenly. When she saw the caller ID, a hint of panic flashed across her face. Is it him? Alexander asked. That's none of your business, Amanda said coldly. I'm yours now. You don't need to be jealous. You know I don't like men who get jealous too easily. She continued talking to herself, not noticing Alexander's indifferent and cold expression. She went outside to take the call, and a minute later returned. David's child is sick. He's struggling to take care of Lily alone. I need to go check on them. Amanda seemed to sense that something was wrong and added, David and I have been over for a long time. Ever since he came back from abroad, he's been taking care of the kids alone, and his health isn't great either. Okay, I understand. Go ahead, Alexander said, completely uninterested. Amanda's face showed displeasure. What's with this attitude? I thought you were someone who cares about children. I even plan to have one with you. If you keep acting like this, how can I trust you to have my children? My children don't need to come from you, Alexander replied flatly. Alexander, don't use words like that to provoke me. Don't forget our wedding is in 7 days. Everyone knows our families are getting married. If I don't show up, the Law family will have a hard time. I'm giving you 3 days to think this over. Don't come looking for me in the meantime. With that, she left in a hurry. Alexander couldn't help but raise his hand to his forehead, utterly speechless. Amanda had clearly been feeling guilty when she said that, trying to create a little trouble for Alexander so that she could feel justified in leaving to meet David. How had he not noticed this before? Now it seemed both shameless and laughable. After Amanda left, Alexander changed the password to the house's smart lock. He also called the cleaning lady to come and tidy up the entire room. 3 hours later, the entire wedding suite was completely refreshed. As for the redecorating, it had always been part of his plan, but this time it was for Emily. Once finished, Alexander picked up his phone and saw a post from David on his social media. True love is when she can be there anytime I need her. The post was accompanied by a video. In the video, Amanda was playing the role of a virtuous wife, running around the house taking care of everything, from watching Lily to cooking. She was a completely different person from the one Alexander had seen. Alexander sneered and silently gave it a like. In his previous life, he had done everything for Amanda, allowing her to become the matriarch of the Law family. He had even handed over full control of the Law group to her to satisfy her desire to be a strong, independent woman. But in the end, all of it had been part of her plan. She had never loved him. Alexander turned off his phone, preparing to rest. Then Amanda's call came in again. Alexander, what's the meaning of this? David's post was just a joke. Why did you like it? David is feeling guilty now, apologizing non. Stop, and the kids are crying non. Stop. Is this the outcome you wanted? Chapter 4. You'd better apologize to David right now, or I'll seriously reconsider whether I want to marry you. I don't like petty men. Amanda's voice was loud and irritating. Also, I've already agreed to marry you, so stop trying to get my attention in this way. It's not going to make me like you more. In fact, it's just disgusting. Do you understand? Amanda kept talking on. Stop. Fine. I got it, Alexander replied, unable to stop himself from rolling his eyes as he heard her rant. He raised his hand to unlike the post, not understanding how he could have been blind enough to marry such a woman in his past life. Now looking back, it was truly laughable. At least in this life, Alexander had finally realized who he truly wanted to marry. The next day, Alexander went to the bridal shop to look at wedding dresses. Once everything was confirmed, he planned to have the dress delivered to Emily so she could try it on. That way any adjustments could be made in advance if needed. However, as soon as he arrived at the store, he heard voices of admiration and excitement. "David, do I look beautiful in this wedding dress? This is designed by one of Milan's top bridal designers. Just arrived in the country, and I wanted you to see it first." She was wearing the wedding dress Alexander had spent millions on, striking poses in front of David. "Wow, Mom looks so beautiful." Before David could speak, the two children beside him burst into cheers. "Mom, you look like the most beautiful bride in the world in that dress." The two kids, probably around 3 or 4 years old, clearly resembled Amanda. In his past life, Alexander had met these children early on, but at the time he hadn't suspected anything. Looking back now, it was all love that had blinded him. David smiled. "Amanda, you really do look amazing. This dress is like it was made just for you." Alexander walked into the store, his face as dark as a storm cloud. When the bridal shop manager saw Alexander, he quickly greeted him with a smile. "Alexander, welcome. Who gave you permission to let someone else wear the wedding dress?" Alexander's voice was cold. The manager's smile quickly faded. She said the dress was for her from you." At that moment, the whole family of 4 turned their eyes to Alexander. Panic flashed across David's face. "Amanda, what do we do now?" "Don't panic. Just watch me," Amanda said, her tone full of confidence. She marched toward Alexander, holding up her skirt in anger. "Alexander, didn't we agree that for these 3 days you wouldn't look for me? But here you are, chasing me down. You really disgust me." Alexander ignored her and asked, "Who gave you permission to wear this dress without my approval?" Amanda's expression changed as she quickly realized that Alexander had probably overheard something he shouldn't have. However, she wasn't afraid. She believed that even if Alexander had heard everything, he would still tolerate it because of how much he loved her. With that thought, she boldly retorted, "What do you mean? Why can't I wear the wedding dress you ordered for me? Are you angry because I wore it in front of David? Can't you just be a bigger man and stop being so petty?" Hearing Amanda's words, Alexander finally understood just how shameless and bottomless she was. Just now, those 2 kids called her mom, and she thought Alexander hadn't heard. Chapter 5. "Take it off," Alexander said coldly. David, who had been standing nearby, suddenly spoke up. "Alexander, this is all my fault. Please stop arguing. It's all my fault. Amanda said the dress was from you, so I thought I'd help her out by giving her some feedback. I'll take the kids and leave right away," David said as he reached to pick up the twins. But just as he was about to leave, the 2 children glared at Alexander with fierce looks. "You bad guy. Why are you bullying Mommy and Daddy?" One of them shouted. "Yeah, you're a big bad guy bullying my mommy," the other child chimed in. Amanda and David immediately rushed over to cover the children's mouths, their eyes flashing with panic. But they quickly regained their composure. David's face turned pale as he explained, "Alexander, please don't misunderstand." Before he could finish, Amanda interrupted. "So what if they called me Mom? These kids don't have a mother, and they're at an age where they're longing for maternal love. What's wrong with them calling me Mom? I'm a woman. It's natural for me to feel motherly love. Alexander, if you don't even have that kind of compassion, then you really need to rethink yourself. I don't want to marry a cold-hearted, heartless person." Now occupying the moral high ground, Amanda began to criticize Alexander. Alexander looked at Amanda, utterly speechless. "I said take it off." At this point, Alexander couldn't care less about Amanda's actions anymore. Forget the fact that she had 2 children for another man. Even if she had a whole football team of children with someone else, it wouldn't bother him at all. Amanda was completely furious. "It's just a wedding dress. I don't even care about it. But listen, if you want me to take it off now, don't even think about asking me to wear it on our wedding day." With that, Amanda stormed off toward the fitting room. When she came out, she had stomped on the dress, and the lace and diamond decorations were all twisted into a mess. The store manager rushed forward to stop her, but it was too late. The dress was nearly ruined. "We're leaving, David." Amanda held one child while David carried the other. Before they left, Amanda turned back to Alexander with a final threat. "Alexander, this time I'm really angry. I'm going to punish you. Think carefully about what you're going to do to make it up to me. And just so you know, if the gift isn't worth at least 10 million, don't even bother showing up to see me." With that, they hurriedly left. Alexander didn't even look at their retreating backs. He lowered his head to look at the nearly destroyed wedding dress. His expression darkened. The bridal shop manager quickly apologized. Alexander, we're so sorry for this. We'll do everything we can to fix the dress. No need. A dress that someone else has worn is no longer suitable for her, Alexander said coldly. Do you still have the receipt for the dress? Yes. Yes, we do, the manager replied quickly, signaling for an employee to fetch it. Alexander took the receipt and looked at it. A wedding dress worth millions. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Lawyer, what can I do for you? I need you to file a lawsuit for me, Alexander said succinctly. He blamed the situation briefly to the lawyer over the phone and asked the bridal shop to provide the security footage showing Amanda ruining the dress. Since Amanda had been demanding a $10 million gift, this would be the gift Alexander prepared for her. He hoped it would surprise her. Chapter 6. After taking care of everything, Alexander looked at the bridal shop manager. Do you have any other wedding dresses? Currently, we don't have any dresses at this price range. The manager seemed a bit nervous, her mind racing. Alexander's expression stiffened, and the manager quickly continued. I heard that the top bridal designer, July, recently released a wedding dress with a publicly available price, though it's quite expensive. How much? Alexander asked sharply. $3 million. The manager cautiously mentioned the figure. Order it for me. I'll send you the size later. Alexander's tone was direct and to the point. The manager was taken aback, but didn't dare hesitate. Alexander, don't worry. This time we will definitely meet your expectations and ensure the dress is well taken care of. Good. 3 days later, the front page headline of the City News was full of buzz. Law Group's Alexander Near's wedding. Spends a fortune on a city's top luxury mansion for his beloved. Milan's top bridal designer July's masterpiece, Starry Rain, sold to Alexander for $30 million. Mr. Law angry over diamond ring worth millions bought for his lover. For a moment, several news articles about Alexander's extravagant affection for his wife spread widely across the internet. This is the real-life version of the domineering CEO everyone talks about. Wow, so jealous. I'm wholeheartedly supporting Mr. Law. Mr. Law isn't just rich, he's also handsome and loyal. The woman who gets to marry him must have saved the world in her past life. I'm so envious of the woman who will become Mr. Law's wife. Meanwhile, on Amanda's social media, related videos also started appearing. In the video, she was wearing flawless makeup. Alexander, I'll give you credit for some sincerity. I'll temporarily forgive the things you did that upset me, she said, her face full of pride and looking very magnanimous. As soon as the video was posted, it went viral. In less than an hour, it had hundreds of thousands of likes. Wow, so Mr. Law's lavish spending is just to make the beauty smile. Beautiful sister, you're amazing. Can you teach us how you've got Mr. Law wrapped around your finger? I want to learn. I want to learn too. The comments section went wild, and the video's popularity remained sky high. Amanda was quickly being put on a pedestal. She wasted no time posting a second video in response. In the video, she talked about the couple's recent conflicts carefully, omitting anything that would make her look bad. As soon as it was uploaded, it immediately hit the trending searches again. Wow, Mr. Law's domineering love and forced affection. The sister is so lucky. The way rich people apologize is really something to envy. In his office, Alexander stared at the trending topics and comments, feeling speechless. What are you waiting for? Take it down right now. Chapter 7. After his assistant left, Alexander's phone suddenly rang. Looking at the caller ID, his expression shifted slightly. It was none other than Amanda. Alexander hesitated for a moment before answering. On the other end, Amanda's voice was full of smugness. Alexander, I've told you so many times, you need to answer my calls immediately. Why can't you remember that? Then her tone suddenly changed. But this time I'm forgiving you. I'm pretty satisfied with the things you did these past 3 days. The gifts you prepared were heartfelt. At least they make up for the punishment I gave you these past few days. Alexander couldn't help but smile faintly. At this moment, he understood a saying all too well. When a person is overly stimulated, they might just end up laughing. You keep talking, but there's one thing I need to remind you of. When are you going to deposit the $1 billion dowry into my account? I'm telling you, the wedding is approaching. If the dowry isn't in my account before the wedding, I can't promise that I'll actually show up to the wedding. No matter how expensive the wedding dress you send me is, it won't matter. It'd be better if you don't come, Alexander replied calmly, completely indifferent. He lifted his hand and lazily started scrolling through his social media feed. Then he suddenly saw a video posted by David. In the video, the family of 4 was watching fireworks, with the 2 children sitting between the adults, their faces beaming with happiness. Before long, David and Amanda kissed each other, their gazes filled with affection. The caption read, "There's nothing more beautiful than this moment. For her, I'll do anything." At that moment, Amanda's voice was still ringing in his ears, and Alexander felt a sudden wave of disgust. Just as the call with Amanda was ending, she added, "Oh, by the way, my dad is hosting a family dinner tonight. I've graciously decided to let you come with me. But I'll remind you, don't mess things up tonight. If you behave well, I'll give you a legitimate identity. You'll become the son in Law of the Morris Family." Chapter 8. Amanda spoke to Alexander as if granting him a great favor. Alexander snapped back to reality and remembered that he was indeed supposed to attend the Morris family dinner tonight. However, the purpose of his visit was to discuss the details of his and Emily's wedding. "You're going to my family's house. Make sure to bring some decent gifts. I don't want my family to look down on you," Amanda added with a hint of superiority. "That's unnecessary for you to mention. I've already prepared everything," Alexander replied before immediately hanging up the phone. In the evening, Alexander rode in a car heading to the Morris family's residence. Upon arrival, the driver opened the car door for him to get out. A second car followed closely behind, and several people soon emerged from the car, each holding a gift. Alexander stood at the front, dressed in a custom Italian handmade suit and Spanish calfskin leather shoes. His impressive physique, with broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and a well-defined chest, made him look extraordinarily handsome. The Morris family servants quickly ran inside to announce, "Mr. Nears is here. Mr. Nears is here." A few figures appeared at the door. The first were Mr. and Mrs. Morris, followed by several others. One of them was Amanda. Today, Amanda wore a white dress but had heavy makeup on. She stood in high heels so tall they seemed to defy the laws of physics. Her posture was one of superiority, and her overall appearance felt quite off-putting. Standing beside her was another young woman. She wore a pale yellow dress and comfortable sneakers. Her hair was tied up in a high ponytail, and she wore no makeup, giving her a natural and fresh look. Her presence felt pure and elegant, in stark contrast to Amanda. This was Emily, Amanda's half-sister. "Mr. Alexander, you're here. I hope the journey wasn't too tiring," Mr. Morris greeted first. Alexander offered a calm smile, his eyes briefly landing on Emily. Amanda, completely oblivious, stepped forward and pushed Emily aside with a sense of superiority. With an air of arrogance, she looked at Alexander and said, "Have you brought everything I told you to bring?" Chapter 9. Alexander furrowed his brow slightly upon seeing this. Without showing any reaction, he gently stepped away from Amanda and addressed Mr. Morris. "Uncle Morris, you're too polite. I was in a rush, so I've only brought a few modest gifts." The entourage behind him immediately stepped forward, offering the gifts. Before Mr. Morris could respond, Amanda impatiently moved forward. "Let me see what you've brought," she said eagerly, walking right up to Alexander. "You haven't forgotten my instructions, right? If I think your gifts are embarrassing, I won't acknowledge you." Amanda's tone was haughty. Just then, Alexander's assistant spoke up. "Mr. Near's gifts include a pair of dragon and phoenix gold hairpins worth 1 million, a pair of blue and white porcelain vases worth several million, and a limited edition luxury car worth tens of millions. Besides that, there are 10 million worth of jewelry and a pair of wedding rings worth 1 million. As Amanda listened to the assistant's introduction, her smile grew so wide it seemed to reach her ears. Mr. and Mrs. Morris nodded approvingly. Amanda beamed and said, "Alexander, I'm very satisfied with your gifts. I hereby declare that you have passed." Turning to Mr. and Mrs. Morris, she said, "Dad, Mom, I'm officially declaring that Alexander is now qualified to become our Morris family's son in law and my husband." As soon as the words left her mouth, she excitedly moved forward, trying to link her arm with Alexander's. But Alexander smoothly stepped away without a sound. Mr. Morris's expression instantly darkened, his face hardening. "Amanda, what on earth are you doing? What do you mean declaring Alexander your husband?" "Dad, did I say something wrong?" Amanda asked, her expression faltering slightly. "You're terribly mistaken. Today we're discussing the wedding between Alexander and your sister. Mr. Morris's voice was sharp with disapproval. Chapter 10. Amanda stood in disbelief. What did you say? Her mind was in a daze, unable to process the sudden shift. Mr. Morris ignored her and turned instead to Alexander. Alexander, please excuse her behavior. Alexander smiled lightly, then suddenly walked forward. Amanda and Emily, still processing, widened their eyes, unable to believe what they had just heard. Amanda clung to the hope that it was all a misunderstanding. But as Alexander walked past her, not sparing her a single glance, he made a beeline for Emily. Amanda finally snapped to her senses, fury bubbling inside her. This is impossible. It can't be, Alexander. The person you wanted to marry was me. Why are you suddenly interested in that girl, Emily? She watched as Alexander reached into a delicately crafted box and pulled out a pair of wedding rings worth millions. He slid one of the rings onto Emily's finger, and Emily, blushing, took the other ring and placed it on Alexander's finger. Mr. Morris, seeing the scene, smiled broadly. Alexander, Emily, come inside and sit. Mr. Morris invited enthusiastically. Alexander nodded and without hesitation took Emily's hand. Emily's eyes sparkled with emotion, and she didn't hesitate to hold his hand firmly. Amanda couldn't contain herself any longer. In a fit of rage, she stormed over and shoved Emily away. Emily stumbled, almost falling to the ground, but Alexander, quick as a flash, reached out and caught her. His expression turned cold as he stared at Amanda. What do you think you're doing? Amanda said. You're doing this on purpose. You just want to get my attention and make me jealous, right? Amanda's face twisted into a strange expression. Fine, I admit it. Your plan worked. I'm jealous now. You can end your little game. She stared at Alexander, waiting for him to push Emily away and come toward her, claiming her as his and handing over all the gifts she expected. But the scene she had imagined didn't unfold. Instead, Mr. Morris could no longer hold back and shouted sternly, Enough, Amanda. Today is a joyous occasion for your sister and Alexander to discuss their wedding plans. If you keep causing trouble, don't blame me for cutting off your financial support. Amanda froze, stunned by the unexpected rebuke from her father, who had always been so gentle with her. By the time she regained her composure, Emily had already linked arms with Alexander and entered the living room. Amanda stood outside alone, a bitter feeling of abandonment crashing over her. This isn't real. It's a dream. I must be dreaming, she mumbled to herself. She raised her hand and pinched her palm. The sharp pain quickly surged through her. It hurts. No, this can't be real, she whispered, still in disbelief. Inside the living room, Mr. and Mrs. Morris were chatting happily with Alexander. They had already discussed most of the wedding details. Suddenly, Mr. Morris asked Alexander, When will your parents be coming back to the country? Mr. Morris, my parents are already aware of the wedding and are catching the earliest flight tomorrow morning, Alexander replied with a smile. Throughout the conversation, Emily acted like a quiet, obedient little cat. She sat next to Alexander, and Alexander kept his hand firmly clasped around hers, the warmth of his hand giving her a sense of security. This feeling made Emily feel grounded, and she instinctively tightened her grip on his hand. That's wonderful, Mr. Morris said with a smile. Once you return, discuss the details with your parents. And if all is well, we can set the wedding date for 3 days from now. Sounds good, Alexander agreed. As the conversation came to a close, Mr. Morris said, Emily, see Alexander out. Emily nodded and, intending to pull her hand away from Alexander's grasp, found that he had no intention of letting go. She looked up at him, and their gazes met. In that moment, Alexander simply smiled and led her toward the door. Emily's heart raced, and she couldn't stop herself from feeling the flutter of excitement. As they stepped outside, approaching the car, they spotted Amanda standing nearby. Her eyes were red, her expression pitiful. Alexander, tell me this is all fake, right? It's just a misunderstanding, right? Chapter 11. Alexander couldn't be bothered to respond to Amanda. He had just lifted Emily's hand, and the rings they were both wearing sparkled under the light. The brilliance of the rings immediately stung Amanda's eyes and pierced her pride. You're definitely doing this to provoke me. You want me to marry you, so you had my dad and that little girl cooperate with you in this act, right? I'm sorry, I don't have time for that, Alexander said bluntly, showing no hint of courtesy. And I've already told you, the person I'm marrying is Emily, not you. Alexander knew that if you love someone, you should be open and honest about it. Not like in the past when he had blindly fallen for Amanda, only to be humiliated and treated like a fool, with his love and dignity trampled on. Amanda's jealous gaze shifted to Emily. You little slut. It's you who seduced Alexander, right? Tell me, what tricks did you use to get him to marry you? She lunged forward, intending to strike Emily. Emily's face changed slightly. Sister, it's not like that. Just as Amanda was about to slap Emily, Alexander stepped in front of her, blocking the blow. He grabbed Amanda's wrist firmly. Enough of this. With a swift motion, he shoved Amanda aside. Amanda stumbled back, her eyes wide in disbelief. She never imagined that the man who had once been so obedient to her would actually lay a hand on her. Emily, are you okay? Did you get scared? Alexander asked with genuine concern. Amanda's jealousy flared, her eyes turning red. Everything that was once hers had been taken by Emily. Alexander, I know this is just a game, right? You're trying to make me jealous because you love me, right? Amanda continued, unwilling to accept the situation. Alexander completely ignored her and, taking Emily's hand, led her toward the car like a gentleman. He opened the car door for Emily. Tonight you should come to my place. You can try on your wedding dress tomorrow and see if it fits. Alexander had seen the jealousy and hatred in Amanda's eyes earlier. With her temper, he couldn't be sure she wouldn't do something rash, so it was safer to keep Emily close. Emily's cheeks flushed slightly. Okay, I'll follow your arrangements. Once they were in the car, the convoy quickly drove away. Amanda stood there disheveled, her carefully applied makeup ruined. Just as she was about to lose herself in despair, a voice suddenly cut through the air. Mommy! Mommy! The clear voices of two children instantly brought Amanda back to reality. Amanda's expression immediately shifted to panic. She looked up to see David walking toward her, holding the hands of two children. She quickly walked toward him. What are you doing here? David smiled. The kids miss you. They've been asking to see you. And since you haven't replied to my calls or messages, I came to find you. Mommy, is this Grandpa's house? I really want to go inside and see Grandpa and Grandma. The two children spoke in unison. Eli, Ollie, Grandpa and Grandma aren't home today. Let's come back another day, Amanda said, giving David a meaningful glance as she composed herself. She wanted him to quickly take the kids and leave. But just as she was about to walk away, the two children suddenly asked, Mommy, do you think that person inside is Grandpa? Amanda turned her head and looked at the person who had just walked out of the house. It was her father. Chapter 12. Amanda immediately panicked, urging David to quickly get the two children into the car. Only when they were safely away from the Morris house did she finally let out a sigh of relief. Mom, what's wrong? Are you okay? One of the children, named Eli, asked. I'm fine. Amanda tried to act calm, but her unease was evident. The Morris family was strict, and if Mr. Morris found out that she had had twins out of wedlock, it would be a scandal. He would definitely disown her. She had her position in the Morris group, and her main source of income came from them. Both the children and David depended on that income. If her financial support was cut off, she would truly be left to fend for herself. David noticed Amanda's distracted state and couldn't help but ask, Amanda, what's wrong? What happened today? I told you I'm fine. Didn't you hear me? Amanda snapped irritably. David was taken aback, feeling a pang in his heart. In his memories, Amanda had always been gentle with him. This sudden outburst left him feeling uneasy. But as a man being supported by her, he couldn't afford to anger her further. He just bit his tongue and stayed silent. Back home, Amanda resumed her dutiful wife and mother persona, bathing the children. Seeing her like this reassured David, and this scene felt warm to him. After taking a video, he quickly edited it and posted it with a caption bragging, Having you around is the greatest comfort for me and the kids. Just as the post went live, Amanda stormed over to him, her face filled with anger. Delete it. Amanda, what's wrong? Why should I delete it? Everything was fine. Amanda snatched the phone from his hands and deleted the post without a second thought. From now on, you're not allowed to post things like that. I won't allow you to provoke Alexander. David was a little taken aback. What happened? Did you have a fight with Alexander? Alexander? He's going to marry another woman, Amanda said, her voice low and despondent. Hearing this, David's heart couldn't help but leap with joy. His patience had finally paid off. He immediately soothed her. Amanda, if he's marrying another woman, it's because he's blind and doesn't know your worth. But it doesn't matter. Without him, you, me, and Eli, Ollie will be able to live openly. Shut up. Before he could finish, Amanda interrupted him angrily. What do you know? Alexander loves me. He loves me deeply. This is all just a game he's playing. Everyone in the capital knows that Alexander is my loyal servant. Who else could he possibly love besides me? When we were at our house earlier, he was definitely acting to make me angry. Do you believe me? If I call him right now, he'll come running back to see me. And not only that, but he'll kneel in front of me and beg for my forgiveness. David's optimism was instantly extinguished, like a bucket of cold water being poured on him. Amanda, however, didn't seem to notice. She picked up her phone and was about to call Alexander. Even though the call hadn't gone through yet, she could already vividly imagine Alexander on his knees in front of her, begging for mercy. The thought made her secretly excited. At that moment, there was a knock at the door. Amanda's heart leapt. It must be Alexander coming to find me. She put down her phone and opened the door. Hello, I'm Alexander's lawyer. I've been asked to deliver this legal notice to you on his behalf. If you don't want to be sued, please compensate for the damaged wedding dress worth $30 million as soon as possible, the lawyer's letter read. Otherwise, we'll see you in court. Amanda's face instantly changed. She had thought it was Alexander coming to apologize, but instead, she had received a legal notice. Chapter 13. Meanwhile, in the largest bridal shop in the capital, the store manager wore a flattering smile. Alexander, the wedding dress, starry ring, designed by Master July, has been shipped here. Let her try it on, Alexander said indifferently. The manager was struck speechless by Emily's beauty the moment he saw her. Emily had a tall figure, fair skin, and a delicate face. Even without any makeup, her demeanor was polite and graceful, in stark contrast to the other women who had come to try on wedding dresses. No wonder Alexander had chosen her as his bride. The manager quietly praised her in his heart. Emily glanced back at Alexander. Shall I go? Her eyes sparkled with a playful and cute expression. In fact, Emily and Alexander had known each other for more than 10 years. Their relationship wasn't as unfamiliar as one might think. It's just that they hadn't interacted much in their daily lives, and the change in their relationship now was something Emily was still adjusting to. However, one thing was certain. Emily was willing to marry Alexander. This secret had always been hidden in her heart, unknown to anyone else. Alexander watched Emily walk away, a faint smile playing on his lips. In truth, there was another reason why he had chosen Emily. In his previous life, the last thing he saw before he died was a tear from Emily's eye. At the time, it felt inexplicable, so after his rebirth, he immediately investigated this sister. Sure enough, as Alexander was lost in his thoughts, his phone rang. It was Amanda calling. Without a second thought, he pressed the hang up button. Then the phone was bombarded with calls. Alexander was getting frustrated, so he simply blocked her number. Alexander, your bride is here. The bridal shop manager's voice broke his thoughts. Alexander looked up and his pupils involuntarily widened. Emily stood before him in a pure white wedding dress adorned with diamonds, shimmering brilliantly. The dress was minimalist in design, but on Emily, it exuded an almost sacred aura. Emily's shoulders were slightly exposed, elegant yet modest. Her bare face showed a subtle flush, making her beauty utterly mesmerizing. Alexander couldn't help but stare, a little dazed. Emily blushed slightly. Alexander, does this wedding dress suit me? Alexander quickly nodded. It suits you perfectly. Emily, flustered by the compliment, felt a little shy. Before they left, Alexander instructed the store staff, our wedding is in 3 days. Make sure to take good care of the dress. The store manager immediately nodded. After the previous incident, she was determined not to be careless. Don't worry, Alexander. There won't be any issues this time. Alexander took an umbrella and led Emily out of the store. Noticing that Emily seemed a little stiff, Alexander couldn't help but say, Emily, we're about to become husband and wife. You don't need to be so reserved around me. Emily glanced at the man known as one of the most powerful figures in the business world, her eyes flickering slightly. Then she suddenly asked, Alexander, why do you want to marry me? Alexander was slightly taken aback. He hadn't expected Emily to ask this question so soon. After a moment of recovery, he smiled mischievously and looked at her. Then why did you agree to marry me? Emily felt a bit embarrassed. You were the one who proposed first. You answer my question first. Emily was serious now. Seeing how serious Emily was, Alexander stopped his teasing and said, Do you remember more than 10 years ago, on a day just like today, when a little boy fell into a pool and a little girl saved him? As soon as the words left his mouth, Emily's eyes widened. I know about that, but... She paused for a few seconds. When you fell into the pool and woke up, you said it was my sister who saved you. I didn't know the truth back then, but now I do. The one who saved me was you, wasn't it? For all these years, Alexander had believed it was Amanda who had saved him, and that's why he had been so obedient to her. He had almost drowned, and in his moment of despair, he had seen a little girl with a bamboo pole pulling him out of the water. He had passed out before he could see her face clearly, and afterward, Amanda had claimed credit for it. Over the years, it was because of that life saving grace that Alexander had been so compliant with her. He never expected that Amanda had been using him all along and that he would die with regret in his previous life. Emily nodded. It was me. Why didn't you tell me back then? If I had known, I wouldn't have wasted so much time, Alexander suddenly said. Emily replied, I actually wanted to tell you, but when I realized I liked you, you were already my sister's boyfriend. So I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Alexander suddenly smiled. You liked me? When did this happen? Emily's face turned red. Oh well. The two of them chatted along the way, and the awkwardness between them seemed to fade away. Emily felt much more at ease now. When they returned to the residence, they freshened up and then slept in separate rooms. That night, Emily had sweet dreams. The next morning, as soon as Alexander woke up, his phone rang. He answered the call. Alexander, quick. Check out what's happening on a certain video app. Something's gone wrong. Chapter 14. The call was from Alexander's close friend, Jake. Alexander frowned as he listened to Jake's words. He knew Amanda wouldn't let this go easily. Without any hesitation, he opened the app to check, and sure enough, a trending topic popped up. Breaking. Alexander abandoned Amanda, deliberately created a deep affection persona. Alexander clicked on the post. In the first video, Amanda, heavily made up and impeccably dressed, appeared with red eyes as she cried. Everyone, I've been betrayed by my own sister. Alexander promised to marry me, but then he turned around and married my sister. They've been secretly together all along. She sobbed dramatically in the video, spinning a web of lies and distortions. How could someone who loved me so much suddenly change his heart? Now I understand. Men always get tired of the old and seek the new. Amanda's video today was completely different from the one where she had been boasting a few days ago. The comments quickly flooded in. So disgusting. How could a sister steal her older sister's boyfriend? Is she even human? I used to think Alexander was a loyal man, but now it looks like he's just a scumbag. Sisters, we must speak up for our sister. Hashtag #GirlsHelpGirls exactly. From now on, we will never buy anything from the Nears Group. Let them go bankrupt and their stock prices crash. And we must expose that third party. I want to see what kind of person steals her own sister's boyfriend. The comments section quickly became a war zone. Alexander's face darkened as he read through the comments. His fists clenched, and his eyes flashed with cold fury. After a moment, he called his assistant. Get this trending topic taken down. Then he called Jake. I need you to investigate something for me. Also, look into a guy named David. Jake answered confidently, Don't worry. Investigating people is my specialty. I'll get on it right away. Meanwhile, Emily had just walked out of her room. Her phone was ringing non-stop. As soon as she answered, a barrage of insults erupted from the other end, as though she had been doxxed. Alexander saw this and said to Emily, Turn off your phone for now. I'll handle this. Amanda had crossed a line with Alexander, and this time, he wasn't planning to let her off so easily. Okay. Emily naturally trusted Alexander without question. After quickly gathering a few things, Alexander headed out. As he was leaving, Emily called out to him, Be careful. I will, Alexander replied with a light smile. Once outside, he dialed Amanda's number. Her voice came through the phone. Finally, you're willing to call me. Where are you? Let's talk. What do you think? I'm at our home. Home. Amanda chuckled. You bought that multi-million-dollar wedding house for us, right? Well, I'm right here in our wedding house. Alexander's face darkened at her words. I'll be there soon. After hanging up, Amanda smiled smugly. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the room. Amanda, you really know how to work your magic. Looks like Alexander called you all on his own. Does it surprise you? Alexander is a total simp when it comes to you. He can't resist you. Amanda smiled even more at the flattery. This time, she was sure she had him wrapped around her finger. Of course, he's doing all this just to make me jealous. All I have to do is play my cards right, and he'll come crawling back to apologize. Wow, Amanda, you're amazing. Her two friends looked on in admiration. Amanda laughed. Just wait. You'll see me in action. Alexander arrived at the location. The multi-million-dollar wedding house he had bought was practically ready to move in. Everything had been prepared, just waiting for the wedding day when he and Emily would live there together. But what he didn't expect was for Amanda to show up there. Emily, the rightful owner of the house, hadn't even moved in yet. So what right did Amanda have to be there? Alexander drove up, noticing that the door was ajar, with signs of forced entry on the lock. As he entered, he immediately sensed a fragrance in the air. Alexander frowned slightly. At that moment, a voice came from within. Alexander, you're really lucky getting Amanda to cook for you. It's so enviable. This is the first time Amanda has ever cooked for another man. The two women speaking were Amanda's close friends. When Amanda heard the noise, she walked out of the kitchen, wearing an apron and looking every bit the perfect wife. Just a second ago, she had been busy cooking. The table was already set with several dishes. She looked at Alexander with a hostess. Like smile. Alexander, have a seat. The food will be ready soon. What are you up to now? Alexander said bluntly without holding back. Amanda wasn't offended by his tone. Instead, she smiled even more sweetly. Alexander, didn't you always say you wanted to try the food I made for you? Well, I've made it, so come and taste it. Alexander had, in fact, imagined a future where Amanda would cook for him after they got married. He had dreamed of her cooking for him and how happy and fulfilled that would make him. But in reality, it had always been Alexander cooking for her. No matter what she asked for, Alexander would always go out of his way to fulfill her wishes. He had done all this to prove his love for her, even making sure the whole capital knew how deeply he loved Amanda. But now all of that was over. Alexander glanced at the dishes on the table. Every single one was garnished with green onions. He frowned. You know I'm allergic to green onions, don't you? If you don't want them, I can pick them out for you, Amanda hurriedly said. The two friends immediately chimed in. Alexander, don't be so picky. Amanda is offering you a way out. Just take it. Who doesn't know how much you love Amanda? You're so lucky. You won't find a woman as beautiful and virtuous as her anywhere else. Chapter 15. The two women continued to talk, oblivious to the fact that Alexander's expression had turned dark and stormy. Did I ask you to speak? Alexander's voice was low and menacing. In the past, Alexander had often been with Amanda and had gotten along well with her friends. They had mistakenly assumed they were on the same level as Alexander, thinking they could order him around freely. But they were wrong. They had never been on the same level as Alexander. Now they finally felt the pressure of being in the presence of someone above them. Their faces went pale, and they were suddenly too scared to speak. Amanda froze for a moment, then suddenly threw her chopsticks onto the table. Alexander, enough with the act. Stop pretending to be so powerful in front of me. I came here today to forgive you. I promise you, if you publicly announce that you're marrying me in 3 days, I'll take down the video. She continued with a cold determination in her voice. Also, retract the lawyer's letter and transfer $50 million to me to make me happy. Then I'll pretend this never happened. From now on, I will be your wife, Alexander. She fixed her gaze on him, full of certainty. When Alexander didn't respond, she softened her tone. Alexander, I really do love you. I didn't want to push things this far, but if you marry me, I'll waive the $100 million dowry. But you have to give me some shares in the Nears Group. Also, I'll cut back on helping David take care of his kids and give you a child of our own. You know how hard it is for a woman to carry a child for 10 months. I'm willing to bear that burden for you. You should see how sincere I am. Listening to her, Alexander couldn't help but laugh. I don't need you to give me a child. I didn't come here to discuss this with you. What I came to tell you is this house is mine. If you don't leave right now, I'll call the police and report you for trespassing. You'll be facing a few days behind bars. As for the lawyer's letter, I won't be retracting it unless you return my money. If not, I'll see you in court, Alexander said icily. Amanda's two friends grew visibly nervous upon hearing this. They exchanged uneasy glances before one of them said, "Amanda, if there's nothing else, we should leave." "Yeah, I have something to do too," the other chimed in. Without waiting for Amanda's response, they made a hasty exit. Once they were gone, Amanda felt utterly humiliated. She had intended to regain face in front of her friends, but had ended up embarrassing herself even more. "Alexander, you're going too far," she snapped. Then, regaining her confidence, she added, "I don't believe you'll really call the police. I'll let you in on a little secret. I have plenty of ways to deal with you. The video I posted earlier was just a reminder for you. I have even juicier details coming your way." Alexander sneered. "Let the juicy details come out. You have 3 seconds to leave, otherwise you'll stay. And as for the lawsuit, if you don't believe me, we'll see each other in court." 3-2. Amanda was shocked by Alexander's cold response. The man who had once been so obedient to her had now turned into someone issuing orders. "How dare you, Alexander?" she said coldly. When Alexander counted down to 1, he immediately took out his phone and dialed the police. Amanda's expression froze. "Wait. Just wait. Alexander, I'll show you what happens next." She angrily left the multi-million-dollar mansion that had once been hers. As she exited, she turned around and yelled furiously, "Alexander, I will make you beg me to come back." Not long after, her phone rang. It was David calling. She answered in frustration. David's voice came through, "Amanda, the kids are crying. They said they miss you." Hearing David's voice, Amanda felt even more irritated. "You can't even handle 2 kids, and you still expect me to be impressed? What use are you? Amanda, what's wrong with you? You never used to talk to me like that. Did I say something wrong? You're a grown man who doesn't make money or support the family. You can't even take care of 2 kids. Are you useless?" Amanda scolded. David's face alternated between pale and red with embarrassment. He felt deeply aggrieved. On the other end of the phone, Amanda heard the 2 kids crying, "Mom, we miss you. When are you coming back?" The sound of the children crying suddenly gave Amanda an idea. She had just come up with a plan to deal with Alexander. "If you have no mercy, don't blame me for being ruthless," Amanda thought to herself. She softened her tone as she replied, "I'll be home soon. Just wait for me." David's heart lifted upon hearing this, thinking that maybe Amanda still cared about him and the family. Around noon, Alexander had the new house cleaned up once again. Then he contacted the property management. The property apologized for the incident and promised that such a thing would never happen again. Alexander didn't want to waste any more time with them. Jake had already gathered information and asked to meet. Half an hour later, Alexander sat across from Jake. "Alexander, I'm really glad to see you finally waking up. It's not too late." "Not too late," Jake said with a sincere smile. Alexander couldn't help but feel a little emotional. As Alexander's close friend, Jake had tried to advise him many times in the past. He had told Alexander that Amanda was not a good person, that someone who truly loved him wouldn't humiliate him in public like that. Back then, Alexander had been too involved in the situation to see the truth. When he transferred the assets of the Nears Group to Amanda's name, Jake had argued with him. He even threatened to cut ties with Alexander if he didn't listen. But nothing had stopped Alexander from going down the wrong path in his past life. Alexander had made mistake after mistake, leading to a tragic end. Now seeing Jake, Alexander felt a deep sense of gratitude and nostalgia for his old friend. "Thank you, Jake," Alexander said from the bottom of his heart. Jake was momentarily taken aback, then smirked. "Get out of here. What's with the politeness? Helping you with this little thing is nothing. The information's on the iPad. Take a look." Jake tossed an iPad over to Alexander. Alexander chuckled and took the iPad. His words of thanks weren't just for this favor. He was also thanking Jake for the guidance in his past life. "What are you waiting for? Open it. The info inside will blow your mind," Jake said with a grin. Chapter 16. A sly glint flashed in Alexander's eyes. The truth was Alexander had already figured some things out. He opened the files on the iPad, which contained several videos. The videos showed David spending time with Amanda and the 2 kids, capturing their sweet family moments. There were many clips in which the 2 children clearly called Amanda mom and David dad. The footage wasn't just from today, but included older recordings as well. "Have you been investigating me all along?" Alexander asked Jake. Worried that Alexander might misunderstand, Jake quickly explained, "Alexander, don't get me wrong. I just didn't want you to be deceived or taken advantage of, so I started looking into this stuff. Well done, Alexander said quickly. Jake froze for a moment at Alexander's words. The nervous look on his face instantly disappeared. I thought you'd be mad at me, Jake said, relieved. I should be thanking you, not getting angry, Alexander responded. Jake suddenly became serious. By the way, there's also some hospital records showing Amanda giving birth, as well as videos of David accompanying her. You should take a good look at them. Nice work, Jake. You managed to get all of this, Alexander said. Jake chuckled. When you give me a task, I take it seriously. After Alexander finished going through the materials, a cold smile appeared on his face. He put the documents away. Jake said, Alexander, leave this to me. I have the connections. The moment you give the word, I'll release this information and turn everything Amanda has said on the internet around. I'll have to trouble you with this, Alexander said. Don't be so polite. We're brothers, Jake replied. The two chatted for a while longer, and then Alexander checked the time. Jake, when I get married, you'll be my best man. Of course, Jake agreed. After their brief conversation, they parted ways. Alexander checked the time again and realized that his parents were about to arrive at the capital's airport. He planned to bring Emily along to pick them up. When Emily heard this, she felt a little embarrassed. Alexander smiled and teased, even an ugly bride has to meet her in-laws, and besides, my wife is beautiful. Emily couldn't help but laugh at Alexander's teasing, feeling a little more at ease. Before heading to the airport, Emily bought flowers and gifts for Alexander's parents. The couple headed towards the airport together. Meanwhile, another video online began to gain traction. Amanda appeared on a short video platform, crying while holding the two kids, claiming that Alexander had abandoned his wife and children. The two kids played along, continuously calling Alexander Dad in the video. Alexander, don't you want us anymore? Are you really going to abandon us like this, Daddy? The children cried out, tears streaming down their faces. The comments section exploded. Wow, I didn't expect Alexander to be such a scumbag. He abandoned his kids before marriage, and now he's out there fooling around with another woman. This is too much. We must speak up for our sister. I suggest we organize a group to go to the Nears group and demand justice for Amanda. Who's in the capital? Let's organize. I'm the first to sign up. The comment quickly garnered over 100,000 likes. I'm in. I don't have class in the afternoon. I'm going. People began to rally together, and the entire Nears group was in a state of turmoil. Meanwhile, Amanda, the mastermind behind it all, was quite pleased with the outcome. As expected, by the afternoon, a crowd had gathered outside the Nears group's building, waving signs and chanting, Alexander Scumbag, come out. Alexander Scumbag, get out here. Many media outlets had arrived on the scene. Amanda, disguised, stood behind the crowd watching the commotion unfold. A smug smile spread across her face. Alexander, let's see how you're going to handle this. She recorded a video and sent it to Alexander, along with a voice message. I told you I'd make you regret it. At that moment, Alexander was at the airport. Amanda wasn't the only one sending him this video. Jake and the assistant from the Nears group also sent it. When Alexander saw the video, he furrowed his brows. Jake, in the video call, was furious. This bitch is really something. Using the kids like that. She has no humanity. Give the order. Just say the word, and I'll make sure this bitch pays the price. Hearing Jake's angry tone, Alexander replied calmly, take action. Jake, on the other end of the line, immediately became excited. You can count on me, Alexander. I'll make sure this bitch begs for mercy. A slight smile curled on Alexander's lips. Emily noticed the smile, but didn't understand what was happening. It's nothing, Alexander said with a grin when he saw her look. Emily suddenly looked up and saw two familiar figures approaching. Alexander, isn't that your mom and dad? The two well-dressed middle-aged figures were walking toward them. Yes, that's my mom and dad, Alexander replied. Emily felt a bit nervous and took a deep breath. At that moment, Alexander took her hand in his. This simple gesture instantly made Emily feel more at ease. She glanced at Alexander, her eyes flickering. The two exchanged a smile and walked toward his parents. Hello, Uncle and Aunt, Emily said with a radiant smile as she handed them the flowers and gifts she had prepared. Alexander's parents, who had met Emily before, smiled warmly at her. Emily, we're going to be family soon. No need to be so polite, his mother said with a smile. His father also added, "That's right. Your aunt's right." Both of them smiled, clearly happy with their future daughter. In-law. Emily nodded politely. "I understand, Aunt." At that moment, Alexander chimed in. "Mom, Dad, now that you have a daughter, in-law, you're not going to care about your son anymore." His father laughed. "You're jealous of your own wife now? Let's go home." "Right, let's go home." His mother agreed. The four of them headed home together. Meanwhile, as Jake began releasing some documents online, the public opinion began to shift. Chapter 17. Jake, leveraging his wealth and extensive network, directly reached out to a major influencer. Soon, the truth about Amanda was laid bare, exposed to the public in excruciating detail. It was as if every aspect of her life, down to the most intimate details, was put under a microscope. People swarmed to Amanda's social media account, unleashing a torrent of insults. "I knew it. You've always looked like someone with a hidden agenda. How dare you slander Alexander? So, it was you who stole another woman's man and had children out of wedlock. You're far from a good woman. You're a disgrace to all women. Thank goodness I didn't support you earlier." The comments poured in relentlessly, each one tearing Amanda down further. Behind the scenes, the number of people condemning Amanda continued to grow. The group that had been protesting outside the Nears group suddenly felt a deep sense of embarrassment. One by one, they sheepishly abandoned their protest signs and scurried away in disgrace. Meanwhile, Amanda became the target of widespread online scorn. Jake was delighted with the outcome. After reporting back to Alexander, he wore a self-satisfied grin. "Alexander, this time you really owe me big time. Of course, I'll introduce you to a bridesmaid when the wedding comes around," Alexander replied. "It's a deal." As they were chatting, Alexander received a call from the Morizes. They apologized profusely. They had never imagined that their daughter could be such a disappointment. Not only had she been involved with another man, but she had also had children before marriage. Such a daughter was no longer welcome in the Morris family. They publicly declared in the newspapers that they were severing all ties with Amanda. From then on, Amanda had no relation to the Morris family, and she was expelled from the Morris group. Amanda had been hiding at home for the past few days, too terrified to step outside. David, along with the two children, lived in constant fear. One day, David approached Amanda and said, "Amanda, to keep the kids from getting dragged down with you, it's best if you leave." Amanda's eyes widened in disbelief. "What did you just say? Your place? I bought this house for you with my own money. This is my house." David couldn't hold back his frustration any longer. "Look at yourself now. You're nothing but a crazy woman. Who would want someone like you? And the house is in my name, so get out. I thought you'd take care of me and the kids forever, seeing as you're the daughter of the Morris group. But now that you've been kicked out, you're worthless. Do you understand?" Amanda felt as if the world was spinning. Her head was buzzing with shock. She stared at David in disbelief. "What did you say?" "I said you're an old, useless, crazy woman, and you have no value left," David said coldly. At that, Amanda seemed to snap. She lunged at David, slapping and scratching at him. "How dare you? You've been living off me, and now you talk to me like this? I'll fight you." The two quickly became locked in a violent struggle. The two children stood by, crying in fear. In the chaos, David kicked Amanda to the ground. She let out a shrill scream. "You bastard! You deserve to die," David shouted, his eyes bloodshot as he advanced toward her and grabbed her by the neck. Chapter 18. "Dad, Mom, don't fight anymore. Stop." In a moment of panic, Amanda grabbed a pair of scissors and stabbed them directly into David's neck. Blood spattered everywhere, staining her face. Amanda screamed in terror and quickly let go of the scissors. But it was too late. David's pupils dilated, and blood gushed uncontrollably from his neck. Amanda stood frozen, horrified by what she had done. She was at a complete loss, muttering in a daze, "What do I do now? What do I do? Mom is bad. She killed Dad. Bad Mom." The children cried out. Hearing this, Amanda's eyes turned bloodshot with rage. "You're calling me a bad mom?" she shrieked, her voice trembling. "All of you. You all call me that." Her face turned crimson with fury, and she began to laugh maniacally. "You call me bad? I gave birth to you. I raised you, and now you dare to call me bad?" She grabbed a lighter from the table, locked the door, and set the sofa on fire. As the flames quickly spread, the entire room was engulfed in a sea of fire. The two children cried out desperately, but Amanda continued to laugh wildly. Soon, the fire consumed everything, swallowing the entire family. By the time someone noticed and called the fire department, it was too late. The family of four had perished, their lives claimed by the inferno. When Alexander heard the news, he didn't show much reaction. To him, it was simply karma catching up. At that moment, his wedding with Emily was about to begin. As the wedding march played, he gently took Emily's hand from Mr. Morris and walked toward a future filled with happiness. When the officiant asked, "Beautiful bride, do you take this groom as your husband?" "I do," Emily answered firmly. "And groom, do you take this beautiful bride as your wife?" Alexander looked deep into Emily's eyes and replied with unwavering conviction, "I do. I will love her for the rest of my life."